Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Todd Rodden. I'm a certified business and executive coach. I own Aspire Action Coach based here in the Dayton, Ohio area. And I think, folks, we're glad to have you join us. I here have a very inspiring message here today. We got an individual, Jimenez, who is just very passionate and committed to helping small businesses. He really believes they're the bedrock, the backbone of our local communities, and he's doing a lot to help them out and to be really a force for good in the local communities. So, again, if you're new to the spotlight, we're thrilled to have you here. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can receive future messages on top of what you're going to hear from Drake here today as well. So, with that, Drake Jimenez, owner and founder of Holy Hill Media, which is a marketing agency, also a podcaster himself, which he'll talk more about. Drake, take a minute, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about Holy Hill and how did you get started in the marketing business?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I appreciate you having me. We've had this plan for a couple months now, so I appreciate it. Everything leading up to today has been super smooth. You've kept me super informed. I just wanted to note that. Very grateful for the opportunity today. So thank you for that.
Okay.
So as far as Holy Hill is concerned, we are a small to medium sized marketing agency. What we do is we meet and we serve service based and some product based clients. What that looks like is kind of depending on the business's goals, but essentially we provide what we call a digital ecosystem. The digital ecosystem, in a nutshell, is being able to use multiple platforms, whether that's website, social media, email, Google My Business page, and making sure that the strategy encompasses all of them to work together. And so, making use of every bit of analytics that we find from each of those platforms. And then on a more granular level, we provide social media management, content production, SEO, Google social ads, email marketing, and then website maintenance. And so that makes up about 80% of our revenue. And then 20% is made up of projects, which are photo video projects, whether that's an event or just a one off video for a commercial or website, branding. So we'll do logo, all of the branding assets for either a new business or a business looking to rebrand. And then we do website creation as well. And so we've been around now since 2020, so working on about 5 years.
Okay. Well, that's a very broad suite of services. What do you love most about the business?
What I love most, that's a great question. What I love most about the business is solving problems. And so typically a business will come to us and they'll say, okay, we're at this place now where we might have hit a plateau, or we're seeing other competition come in town or into our industry and we're looking to stand out. And so what is exciting about that is figuring out kind of that pearl, that golden nugget that they have that separates them from the rest of the businesses around them, whether that be a service offering, their brand message, their team, their client or customer experience, and being able to use and exploit that to edge against their competition very intentionally by monitoring their competition and then strategizing. I'm a nerd, so strategy is my favorite part, and so I would say that's what sticks out the most to me.
Okay. Yeah, getting that roadmap, that strategy for them, and again, I love that. Finding what's unique about them, what makes them stand out, and getting that message there. Right.
Exactly, and that process of that is super fun because when we're having conversations with these clients, they light up because we're finding all the things that make them super valuable that they haven't been able to articulate to use in their marketing quite yet. So we love that process as well.
So there, in terms of your ideal client, are there certain like target industries or size of clients that really are your sweet spot? And somebody's
Yeah, for
listening,
sure.
we could say, hey, you know what, I'd be a great fit for what Drake and the Holy Hill team do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so typically we're targeting small to medium sized service based businesses, ideally serving the industry, serving the location that they're physically in. And as far as size is concerned, usually around 5 to 50 employees, small businesses, a wide range, and then usually between 1 and 10 million in revenue. We have some exceptions. We have some clients that do more each year. We have some clients that do less, but that's kind of the wheelhouse. And as far as industries are concerned, we work really well with construction industries, whether that's roofers, steel building manufacturers who set up the steel buildings as well, home remodelers, and the health and wellness industry is a second one that we do really well with and that we target. And then the third one, it's something that we've been doing since the beginning of Holy Hill, but a lot of nonprofit organizations we work with as well, just based on being a faith-based company and just I've had a lot of experience working in that world, so I've always kind of kept that niche close to Holy Hill as well.
Okay, we talked to kind of play on that a little bit more, kind of your niche. What makes you unique, right? There's quite a few marketing agencies out there. So what do you think separates you? You talk about, hey, that's what you do for the businesses you work with.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right in saying there's a lot of marketing agencies out there. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that last. And the thing that I think is separates us is also the thing that has helped us last in this industry. And truthfully, what that is it's trifold. The first thing is our intentionality of relationship. We have a program internally called Care More. Care More for our team, more or less, to sum it up, is being able to ask ourselves from that client's perspective, the people that they run into on a day-to-day basis, whether that's in work, competitors, whether that's people serving them, or even just the people they're seeing on a day-to-day basis. How can we care more? And what that forces us to do is to be intentional about listening, which positions us to know how we can achieve their goals. And then, of course, to be able to establish a relationship, because businesses that we're targeting, they typically enjoy working with somebody they enjoy working with. And so that's the first thing. I would say the second thing that separates us is how we do what we do. And so, like I mentioned, I'm not saying we coined it, but I haven't heard other agencies use this term digital ecosystem. And so the digital ecosystem, again, is just using a multitude of platforms to work together to accomplish one goal. And what that really looks like from somebody who might not know about marketing is taking the reporting and strategy from social media approach, email, website, ads, and anything, and any other marketing assets that they're using, and being able to take all of the analytics from each of those platforms to help learn for the next platform. So, for example, our email and our website analytics help us just tremendously with picking out what we want to run ads for them, whether there's a highly selected product or service on that person's business. We're taking that and we're highlighting that in the email, the socials, and the ads. But beyond that, for social media, we're going to post organically on somebody's social media accounts, see what does best, and then we're going to take the information from that and we're going to test similar. Um, Maybe it's a video, photo, or graphic design, and we're going to test that with ads. So we're actually testing before we're putting money behind the ads to make sure that we're being most efficient with the ad spend. Um, and then another example would be, for example, like email marketing. We do a lot of asking for customer feedback. And so through email, we might do a survey, or we might say, okay, we're going to track every link to every different service or product within the email to know what we need to highlight through socials and on the website as well. And so all of this information allows us to be super efficient and act on information a lot quicker, because we're not just waiting for one platform to report on performance. We're using all of them to benefit each other. And so that system has been able to separate us from a lot of the other agencies who are kind of reporting a little bit more linearly, one platform at a time. And I would say the third thing is that we know small business because we are a small business. And so as we serve people all over the country, I'm born and raised in a small town. So with that inherently comes that small town grit, that small town, small business awareness. And so building communities is that third thing, being able to take a customer's brand and the community around their brand and being able to leverage that and actually engage that community, nurture that community, so that when they do have an offering or they do have a sale, they do have something that they want to capitalize on, that community is already engaged. And we do that through social media, email, website, and all the other platforms. And so I would say those are the things that make us stand out.
I love those three different categories, right? That you have, right? About building communities, your
Yeah.
digital ecosystem, and then your Care More program. Especially that first part of listening. Far too often, it's easy for the business to fall into a trap of just kind of pushing solutions.
Yes.
Here's what we do. Here's what you have to do. Instead of stepping back and really understanding, the client's needs. What's important to do, their values, and really who they're targeting. Piece.
Exactly.
Great, great,
100%. Nailed it.
great examples there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm always curious to understand, what marketing strategies work for different types of businesses, but I'm always intrigued how marketing firms, what are their keys to how they market their business? What channels bear the most fruit, where they invest their time and energy and funds as well. So, what marketing works for you?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. The biggest delineator between what we do for ourselves and what we do for clients is we're doing B2B marketing, business to business versus business to consumer, which most of our clients are doing. And so, what works for us, it's a system, it's a strategy, and we have a 35-page marketing strategy for our Holy Hill Media itself. But I would say what works the most, quite honestly, it's integrating as fast as possible. So when we first started Holy Hill Media, I had a goal and an intent of integrating myself as fast as possible into the small business world, not from a standpoint of just being known, but adding value. And so at the top of our marketing strategy, we have the mission to add value first. I learned that from Gary Vaynerchuk. He is, yeah, I'm sure you've heard of Gary V. He
Maybe.
owns VaynerMedia and a ton of other businesses. Very successful entrepreneur. And he came out with a book, I want to say close to 10 years ago now, called Jab, 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 Right Hook, which means add value, add value, add value, then create the ask. And so what we do is we create assets in our marketing strategy to add specific actionable value. And if anybody was to follow along with all of our marketing and pay attention and actually implement what we're saying, they could have everything that we do, all the knowledge, all the information, and be able to do it themselves. Now, most businesses run into one capacity to learn the information, but also capacity to implement.
Sure.
And of course, hiring a whole marketing team instead of hiring an agency for the price of one person. And so, um, again, what we do typically is add value. But from there, what we've really seen work is we do things, whether that's a webinar, whether that's our podcast, and we give them consistent value points so that we can get feedback. As soon as we get feedback, that's constantly fueling our marketing strategy and saying, okay, this is the thing that people want right now. And so then we create marketing assets directly for that. And so the platforms that we're really max are kind of, I would say, yeah, we're maximizing with right now are LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn, because it's like the business Facebook of the world,
Right.
a lot of networking going on there. But also we use Facebook because a lot of small to medium sized business owners are most active on Facebook. And so um, beyond that, I don't want to get too granular and take too much time on this, but beyond that, I would say, the thing that we've really seen sales come from, truthfully, is simply networking. And that's hard to do. It's hard to scale. It's hard to scale intimacy and authenticity. And so the way we go about that, truthfully, is again adding that value and then making sure that anybody who shows any sort of interest is getting a specialized uh, communication point, whether that's a post that I put out on LinkedIn, somebody says something, I'm going to send a message relevant to that context. And I'm going to ask, hey, what intrigued you about this point of the webinar or the podcast? Would love to hear more about how you're implementing that in your business, whatever the case might be. And so we take a small business approach, but I would say this is one of our taglines, but uh, big marketing for small businesses. And so that's kind of what we do for Holy Hill as well.
Okay. So yeah, and, something that sparks the starting of that conversation, right? Which
Yeah,
leads to a
exactly.
relationship. Right? So you're about 5 years in ish right now.
Yep.
So sure, like any entrepreneur, many twists and turns in the road, hills and valleys, right? So maybe share, a past roadblock, key challenge that you overcame, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, yeah, man. There's plenty to choose from. I think anybody in business knows that you're probably always up against something if you're intending to grow. And so I would say the one that stands out right now would be probably around year two, 2.5, where I had to ask myself the question. We were getting an influx of business, and by the grace of God, we've grown exponentially year over year. And so being able to manage that growth is super important. And so one of my business advisors said to focus on sustainable growth. Not all growth is good. If you're not ready to serve and you're going to compromise the excellence of your services by growing, it's not good growth. And so sustainable growth has been a focus of ours really since year two. And at that time, I had to ask myself this question: what does scaling actually look like for a marketing agency? Doing it the way that we do it, that not a lot of other people do, approach marketing the way we do. And so I had a lot of different people in my ear saying, well, you should probably contract to scale, contract these different specialists out so that you can you don't have to worry about the scalability problem. They can hire if they need to hire. And so, we did that initially where it was like, okay, we're going to hire an ad specialist, the photo video specialist, the SEO and website specialist, email specialist, because we have a specialized skill with them, and then they can worry about scaling at that point in time. But we control the strategy and the level of excellence in which they have to perform to. But I did realize at the same time that every contractor to some degree has their own interests, and it's not necessarily our clients all the time. It's performance, of course, because they want to grow their business first. And so I quickly realized that it's better to be able to hire specialists, be able to continue to train them and continuously educate them on that specific specialization that they are sitting in, and be able to have that internally. And so I would say the biggest roadblock that it's worth mentioning is figuring out how to scale, whether that's hiring contractors or employees. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's the right choice to just hire all internally, because that comes with its own roadblocks, such as, typically they're more expensive. They have payroll, services, equipment, and all of those things. But it's worth it to not compromise the quality of excellence of what we're providing. And so I would say that's the one that comes to mind the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that same thought in mind, that's something you've been solving for in the past. As you look forward out the front window, what challenge you see ahead of you? I loved your quote before. Oh, yeah, yeah, you're always up against something if you're intending to grow, right? So,
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I think a key to successful entrepreneurs, foreseeing those problems ahead of time and creating, whether that's systems or processes or hiring for that problem. And so what we're looking at now, truthfully, is we're right now. I'll speak a little bit to right now, a little bit to the future, but right now we're looking to hire sales folk, and this is the first time we've done that. Just to be able to handle some of the leads that are coming in, just so that I'm not doing that, because I've realized the more I can work on my business, the better it grows faster.
mhm.
More it grows faster than working in the business. And so um, that's something we're solving for right now, which is new, and it's difficult simply because I really care about how people communicate with our leads and our clients. And so I'm very picky, but we have a great list of candidates right now, and I'm actually currently interviewing for them. So that's kind of something we're up against, creating new processes for having that done with, somebody else doing that on our team. But the one that we foresee the most coming up into, I guess, the years to come, would be making a bold differentiator between the AI services that are coming out and what we can do. And initially, there was a lot of fear in our industry because AI came into place. But what I try to explain to people is that when the internet came out, everybody thought they were going to be an online entrepreneur. It took about 10 years for them to actually acclimate and be able to use it from an average Joe's perspective. Some people were super successful early on, but it typically takes some time to kind of for that new wave of innovation to settle into that the everyday person's ability to use. And so I don't think we're just up against that time for it to settle into, though. I also think that because we leverage AI a lot, I think it's actually going to make us faster and better, and it already has. And so being able to use those things is one. But then the other thing is AI can track numbers, and it's very black and white in the sense that the human nature and the storytelling is still the gap. And so it's being able to emphasize our ability to storytell and more or less outperform AI. But that's an exciting one for me because I believe that'll be another selling point in the future.
Okay, great. Taking all
Yeah.
that change that's happening in the marketplace, and then leveraging it for how it can be a differentiator for you going forward.
Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be change in anybody's industry. It's just how you respond to it.
So we're kind of playing that out even longer. So what's your longer range vision for the business? Maybe 5, 10 years down the road. What do you see?
Yeah, so I see us becoming the go-to small to medium-sized business marketing agency. I think that I think businesses are already trending down this road to catch on that it's actually more effective and efficient, not only with time, but also cost to hire a marketing agency, considering the fact that to have an internal marketing team, for in any given day, if somebody hires us for a digital ecosystem, they have 6 different people working on their marketing, but they're only paying for the price of one employee. And so not only that, but software costs, payroll, taxes, equipment, all of that stuff that we have, and we can leverage that and not charge for that because we can work at scale with our marketing. And so, I mean, the goal is to be the dominant force in America for small to medium sized businesses, and then expand our network because we want to implement other communities to be able to have not just a marketing value point, but also offering specific trainings, online education, and other value resources. And so we've got a couple things up our sleeve. I don't want to talk too much about some of the things that we're working on, but the goal is to dominate. I mean, if it's not, I'm not sure why anybody would be in business, right?
Ah, there's a man who's driven. You love it.
Have to be. Yeah.
You already talked about some of your decisions around team, where hey, it might be easier, more flexible, even sometimes a little cheaper, right, to rely on freelancers and contractors. But you've made the decision to, at least for several core competencies, to have them in house. So,
Yes.
how do you think about team? How do you develop and grow your team, and what are you doing to retain your top talent, especially in a very competitive labor market?
Yeah, that's a great question. I see that as two questions. I would say this, the first thing to do to grow our team is first of all to have that as a priority. We're very intentional about that. And so what we do is we create, I'm a systems guy. And so we've got a set meeting every Monday in which we check in with the team. We ask them how their weekend was. And now we're a relatively small team comparatively to other companies who might not be able to do that, in which I would encourage you to just have them do so in a Slack or a team communication software. But we check in with our team. We ask them how their life is going. And then every employee that I have, every quarter we do a quarterly review. Now that's obviously primarily about the business and their performance and their work experience, but then I also take a few minutes to talk about their goals personally outside of work for the quarter. And so, in short, it's caring about the person. I had a realization about a year and a half ago that so many people have two different lives. I don't. I'm an entrepreneur, which means work and life are kind of blended in, as you know. Exactly. So, in doing
For
that,
the
though,
good
recognize
and sometimes not so good.
exactly. That's right. It just depends on the day or the week, really. But employees are different. They have a life outside of work. And when you care about that, they tend to feel cared about, simple enough, right? And so we take the same approach about caring more to our clients. And I do that with my employees. But beyond that, we are constantly doing trainings. Everybody has a 30-minute window every week to educate themselves on their specific skill, and they can do a webinar, they can go to a training, they can read a book, podcast, whatever the case might be. And then beyond that, we're implementing, it's actually from the book The 12-Week Year. I don't know if you've read it, but great book. It's a book on systems and scalable growth. And one of the service, or one of the value points in the book is about a scorecard. And so essentially, each employee has a few different categories in which they have to rate themselves based on the lead indicator, which is do this, lag indicator, this happens because I did this. And so they fill out a scorecard to make sure that they are practically productive week over week, and we can review that if we have any bottlenecks. And so I would say that. But to your latter question, how do you keep good talent? That's a tricky one. I'm still learning, but what I would say is this. The care more thing surely helps. Making sure I actually care about their personal life, talking about that, being a friend when necessary, but also being able to create firm boundaries between business and personal life. But I would say the two other things is one, paying them what they're worth. Another quote from Gary Vaynerchuk: hire fast, fire faster, promote fastest. And so to keep good talent, you got to give them something to work towards. Anybody that is actually performing well, a level of excellence that not the average Joe is performing at, they inherently want to get somewhere. They have personal goals. And so I ask that up front. How can we create a trajectory that you have to hold yourself accountable to? But if you can achieve these milestones, we will reward you for that and get you to where you want to be, whether that's a title, whether that's salary, whatever the case might be. And so the third thing, quite honestly, is giving them the time of day for feedback. Key performers, they see more because they do more. And the more we can get feedback from them and actually implement where possible, the more their voice is valued, and the more that they feel responsible to help grow the business. So it also helps align their vision with the vision of the company. And so that's what I would say for team.
All right. Great examples for those listening. Take notes. Hit rewind. Take notes back on that part. So as we get close to wrapping up here, Drake. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are earlier in their journey who watch this series. So what have been your key success, and what advice would you give maybe an entrepreneur who's even newer in their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish somebody would have told me this early on, but it's not the fastest who wins. It's the ones who remain. The greatest entrepreneurs aren't the ones with a specific morning routine that read a specific book that had a specific mentor. It's the ones who persisted. Persistence, I believe, is the one key element that separates businesses who last, businesses who don't, and businesses who last and do okay, and businesses who succeed and thrive. Persistence. And I would say the other thing would be self realization. Being able to be real with yourself is a superpower for anyone, but especially business owners. Being able to understand your weaknesses, your strengths, and to create a system and the business around those things without pigeonholing yourself for the business to rely on you for any specific thing aside from vision. And so, yeah, that's the advice I'd share.
Great advice. Right there, everybody
Thank you.
take that to home. So as we wrap up here, what are the best ways for folks to stay connected with you, stay connected with Holy Hill?
Yeah. So the best way to stay connected with us is following us on social media. It's on Facebook, it's holyhillmedia.facebook. On Instagram, it's holyhill.media. And then, of course, our website's holyhillmedia.com. But our email and our podcast are really the best ways to kind of stay in the real know, the behind the scenes, the deeper conversations, the real value assets are really social media, podcast, and then the email. Our email newsletter is just once a month, sometimes twice if we have something really exciting to share. That's the HHM Coffee Break. It's a 5 minute read, 2 minute skim, packed full of value. That's all we're trying to do is add value because we know if we add value, it'll spark your interest in potentially partnering with us. And then our podcast, the Double Click Podcast, it's a business for small business owners looking to scale, medium-sized business owners looking to take it to the next level, and marketers as well. And that's all actionable. And we're interviewing people who have actually done it to see how they did it and to see the keys to their success as well. So yeah, that's the best place to follow along.
All right, great. So as we wrap up here today, what are you inspired by, Drake?
Yeah. Yeah. I love the question. What am I inspired by? I'm inspired by the underdog. I'm inspired first and foremost by the underdog. I think that anybody starting a business is inherently an underdog because the chances are it's not going to work out. I'm inspired by the underdog because the forces against you, they force you to see what you're really made of, and that to me inspires me. Seeing business owners start a business, stick with the business, and not only that, being able to scale their business, that motivates me because I understand where they've been and I understand what they're up against. And so the underdog inspires me more than anything. And everybody loves a good underdog story too. So that's what inspires me the most.
Absolutely. Everyone loves the underdog. So
That's
that's
right.
great. Well, hey, Drake, thank you for sharing your story. Just great background here. I see your passion for what you do. You love what you do. Great words of advice to other business owners and entrepreneurs on here. Those things around persistence and that self-realization being a superpower. We all take those to heart, and some great books and things to check out to continue that learning. So we thank you for sharing your story. For those viewers, again, we encourage you to take the time to hit the subscribe button so you can receive future messages as well. And make sure you go out and check out Drake and the Holy Hill team. As mentioned, they got their podcast, the Double Click Podcast, and we'll also in the show notes leave information around their website as well as how you can find out more about their newsletter. So with that, Drake, thank you so much. And to our viewers, we hope you all have a spectacular day. Thank you.